What is up, my people? Globe skeptics, globers, flat earthers, flat earth debunkers, everybody in between. This is Passion for Truth coming at you with another video, and this one is probably going to be a little long-winded. This is my message to all the globers out there, for one. All the globers out there, for one, who think that flat earthers are just uneducated. Think that we haven't asked all the questions and then some that you probably have on your mind right now. Maybe you're somebody who's kind of on the fence and you stumbled across this video for the first time. But you don't think the earth is flat. You don't think there's any chance it's flat, but you're just looking for answers and you're doing a little bit of research. Well, this video is for you and for the globers who want to poke fun at flat earthers and call us uneducated. Guess what? We all did the same thing. I, for one, used to say that flat earthers were unfit for humanity. Poke fun at them for a little while, for about a year, before I got off my duff and started to do some research. You see, here's the crazy part. None of us wanted to be a flat earther. Not a one of us. You think we woke up one day and said, I wonder what I can be. I wonder what I can do and say that would just have everybody, 98% of people out there just laugh at me and ridicule me and ostracize me, call me uneducated, call me an idiot. I wonder what I could do to get all those things. That would be great. Said no one ever. So this video is for you, because you probably think you have the aha question, the I gotcha question that we haven't thought of. Well, I promise you that you don't. There's nothing that you have that you're thinking about that we haven't thought about, not just thought about, but actually researched. You see, the difference between you and us is that we just put in the time. We have actually researched these things, not just watched YouTube videos. We've done observations of our own. We've actually done some scientific experiments. We've poured through the data. We've looked through military documents. You understand what I'm saying? So here's what I'm going to do in this video. Like I said, it's going to be a little long-winded. I'm going to go through basically like 21 questions. Not sure how many questions, but I'm going to say 21 questions that you might have. And you probably don't even have that many, because you can't think of that many, because you're so indoctrinated that you don't know how to ask the right questions. All you know how to do is regurgitate the bullshit that you were taught in school. But we were once like you. And then we got a little curious and we started diving into things. We started not only asking the questions, but we actually started looking for the answers to those questions. And once you look at something like the ball earth model, the heliocentric model, with any kind of scrutiny, and you actually ask the right questions, you'll come to the conclusion that you've been lied to on a grand scale about the shape of this place that you live on. And the rabbit hole only goes deeper and deeper from there. So let's start, because you're laughing at us, and I hope that somebody gave you this video because they're tired and exhausted from having to answer the same ridiculous questions. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be asking those questions. You should. But after a while, you have to understand with us flat earthers that it gets repetitive and it gets boring and it gets exhaustive. So why not just share a video with them? So maybe somebody shared this video with you. And I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but we're going to go through things that you think you got us. You think you got that that gotcha question because you think you're smarter than us, because you went to school and your school teacher and your school books told you that the earth was a spinning ball. You think you got us, but we're here to tell you don't, because we've researched these things. Let's start, right? What's the first thing that most people want to say? We got pictures of Earth from space. We got pictures of, let's start there. Pictures of Earth from space. Don't you know NASA has pictures of Earth from space? Don't you know we've already seen it? Don't you know we've known this for 2,000 years? Eratosthenes and Sticks and Shadows. All right, we'll start with the photos. How about you just take the time and Google photos of Earth from space and see what you see? Can you find one real photo of Earth, or are they all fake? You'll notice that when you're looking at these photos that they all say images, because they have to say images, because they've been photoshopped, because they have to be. Not only that, NASA themselves admits to these that they're photoshopped CGI images. The only people who think we have real images of Earth from space are Globers, who have not done a lick of research. So go ahead and go on your computer right now and research photos of Earth from space and tell us what you see. And that's where it all starts, my friend. That's where it all gets kind of crazy. NASA admits that there's no real photos of Earth from space. And, well, let's put it this way. They'll say that they have one real one that's called the Blue Marble. But if you dive into the image of the Blue Marble, you'll see where Photoshop was used. You'll see where they duplicated the clouds, the cloud patterns. They got lazy. Not to mention all the sizes and colors of the water and the countries and the continents all changed from one year to the other. They can't make up their mind. There are no real photos of Earth from space, guys, because they can't get high enough to take those photos. Okay? Well, what about the edge? If the Earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off the edge by now. Like, we haven't heard that one 10 million times. Okay? So my question to you is, where is the edge of your universe that you've been indoctrinated and programmed to believe your whole life? The answer to that question is, we don't know where the edge is. Can't go there. There have been several books written about it. There have been military expeditions and leaders that have talked about countries and continental countries beyond the South Pole and Antarctica, countries bigger than the United States beyond the South Pole. Research Admiral Byrd and his expeditions. Research Captain Cook's expeditions. Research the Iron Republic. All these books that were written about lands beyond Antarctica, written by military people with military credibility. We don't know where the edge is. Look into the Antarctic Peace Treaty. We can't go there. Sure, we can go on a tour to Antarctica, right off the coast of New Zealand and places like that, and we can go see some penguins playing in the snow. And there's probably a military base or two right off the coast. But you can't freely explore Antarctica. There's a video done by Taboo Conspiracy on YouTube. He did a video called Antarctica, Sorry We're Closed. Watch that video. He's a lawyer. He spent about 1,000 hours into this video explaining the level of difficulty to explore Antarctica. It's impossible. It is impossible. The hoops that you have to go through. This is a lawyer that did this work. Is that registered yet? We can't go there. We can only go on a guided tour, a cruise ship, and see little outskirts of Antarctica. And this treaty is in place until the year 2043, I believe. Ain't it crazy how it's the one continent in the world that nobody has conquered, nobody's fighting over? There's a lot of secrets going on there for 57 countries to be involved. Okay? Furthermore, look into Operation Paperclip and Operation Fishbowl, Operation High Jump. You haven't looked into these things. You have no idea. You have no idea. Things just get crazier from there. Well, what about space, and what about the stars and the planets? How come all the other planets are balls, and we're the one that's not a ball? Yeah, because the pool balls on the pool table are round. That means the pool table's round. You got to start thinking critically. Start thinking critically. What if Earth isn't a damn planet? What if it's the basement level of everything? What if we are the center of everything, like many scientists have said? There is no proof that the Earth spins. All the experiments ever done to try to prove it failed. Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gale, Sagnac experiment, Airy's failure. Look into all these before you start talking. There's no proof of Earth spinning. There's a lot more proof and evidence that we are the center of everything, and everything above us, the ether, revolves around us. Look into military government documents. Government documents in every branch in the military talk about the ether above us. They actually talk about flat Earth more than flat earthers do. The term flat Earth is used in government documents over and over and over and over again. Not to mention they talk about a small localized sun and the firmament. Military documents talking about the firmament. You know, that separates the waters from the waters like the Bible says. Oh, but we're the crazy ones, right? Flat earthers are the crazy ones. We're uneducated. We haven't done our homework. We need to go back to grade school and read those textbooks. We need to go back to our 5th grade science teacher and ask him, because he's got all the answers. Well, what about eclipses? Don't eclipses prove that the Earth is a ball? Have you ever observed an eclipse? Have you ever done any kind of testing with shadows and how shadows work on spherical objects? Did you know that even flat surfaces can create curved shadows? And I'm not saying that a flat Earth is causing the shadow on the moon. I'm just giving you some ideas. Furthermore, have you ever heard of a Selene-Hylian eclipse? Completely debunks the heliocentric model of eclipses. Completely debunks. What is a Selene-Hylian eclipse? Well, it's when you've got the sun on the horizon on one side of you, and you got the moon on the horizon on the other side of you, and the eclipse actually starts happening. Now see, there's a problem there because the Earth is supposed to be in between the sun and the moon, causing the shadow on the moon. That's impossible when you've got them right there on the horizon. You're looking at both of them. What about the fact that a lot of these eclipses glow red, and the shadowy, whatever you want to call it, whatever is happening in an eclipse, is causing the moon to fade in red and black and fade out and fade back in? Well, if it was an eclipse, it would be one solid shadow going across the moon. Why is it fading in and out? Why is it changing red? Why is it only red if it's changing colors? If it's the light spectrum that's happened like they say. I know they have dumbass answers to these questions, but you have to ask yourself, what makes more sense? They'll tell you that it's like the light spectrum that's happening, but why is it only red? Why is it only a certain color? Why isn't it like a damn rainbow? So many questions. When you start asking the right questions, you get more questions. You go down more rabbit holes. You learn a little bit more about this topic, a little bit more about that topic. Eclipses don't make sense. They don't make sense in the heliocentric model. The solar eclipse doesn't make sense. Nobody sees the moon approaching the sun in a solar eclipse. It's never been observed. There's some problems there. Research it, okay? What about satellites? We got these satellites. What about the ISS? We got the ISS revolving around us at night. You can see the lights. Yeah, you can see lights in the sky. Does that mean that they're traveling 17,500 miles an hour, revolving around the Earth? Or could that possibly be that there's just lights up there circling above us, like the sun does? We'll get into that here in a little bit. You know, we've had flat earthers actually do observations of the ISS, and we've had them go outside and point their telescope or their high zoom powered camera towards the ISS that's going right above them on schedule. Yes, they do. They have these things scheduled. You can't observe it. But here's where it gets funny. Jaron actually did this on his channel. You can go and find him. His channel's called Jaronism. Or he and his wife, I do believe, went out and they observed the ISS coming around where they live in California. And what he was observing himself live time was completely different than what the ISS was actually showing on the computer screen. The computer was showing clouds, nothing but clouds. And guess what? It was a clear day. So whatever they're showing us is bogus. Whatever they're showing us is bogus. And we don't even need to get into NASA in this video. We could tear NASA to shreds. If you haven't never dug into NASA, if you've never sat through hours of moonwalk footage on the ISS alone and just scrutinized it, if you haven't done these things, if you haven't looked into the moon landings, perhaps you need to start there. We can rip NASA to shreds. We never went to the moon, never will. Okay? We've gone into live feeds and we've seen astronauts on wires and harnesses. We've seen their green screen glitches. We've seen objects go through their bodies because of these glitches. We see bubbles in space. We see water cups sitting on counters like it's another day. And in Chinese film. So you might be asking, well, what about all the other space agencies like China and India and Russia? Have you ever looked at their footage? It's even worse than America's. It's all fake, people. Wake the fuck up. It's all fake. They're putting on a show. These guys are overpaid magicians, Freemasons. They're fooling you. And you don't have the eyes to see it yet, but maybe now you will. Maybe now you'll start questioning these things. And you'll go into the live feeds and you'll see where they got wires and harnesses attached to them when they're doing their flips. You'll see other astronauts trying to help out another astronaut who gets tangled up in their wires. They try to do it all nonchalantly like. They try to distract you. Look over here while they're fiddling with somebody else's wires. Guys, it's all fake. Go watch it. Okay? Satellites, right? Let's think about this for a second. The satellites and the ISS. Let's start with the ISS and like the distance away that they say it is. How high they say it is 250 miles. They say it's 250 miles above us. Well, here's my question. You ever heard the inverse square law of light? Let's take an airliner, like a commercial airliner for an example, and the size of a commercial airliner. They fly at about 30,000 feet in the sky. Let's say we doubled that distance. Do you think you would still see that airliner? I don't think so. Possibly. It'd be a small dot. But let's say, let's quadruple it. Let's quadruple it. Do you think you would still see that airliner? Hell to the no. You would not still see that airliner. That's how military can get away with flying at high altitudes, because we can't see that shit up there. We can't see what's going on above us when it's that high. Think about it. You're not seeing an ISS 250 miles away when it's allegedly the size of a school bus or a football field. I'm sorry. It's supposedly the size of a football field. You're not seeing a football field 250 miles away. Think about it. None of this shit adds up. Satellites. Did you know? Did you even think about this? Satellites are all attached to balloons. Any satellite ever found that's fell back down to the earth was attached to a damn balloon. Did you know? I bet you didn't, because you haven't done your homework, but we have. Don't worry, we've done it for you. We've done it for you. NASA is the #1 supplier of helium. What the hell is NASA doing with all that helium? They're putting them all on balloons. They're putting all their satellites on balloons. Hubble's on a damn balloon. Don't believe me? There's a channel called Flat Earth. What is it called? Flat Earth Reflections. It's Robert Bassano's channel. He's done incredible work on satellites, on balloons. Satellites on balloons, people. He shows you the third-party websites that prove to you that all of these things are on balloons. Every last one of them. Satellites are fake, guys, in other words. They're a hoax. They're a hoax. Why do we even need satellites when we have undersea cables that go from one continent to the other? Did you know that? Did you know that like 95% of all communication is undersea cables and cell towers, guys? The rest is done by cell towers. We don't need satellites. It's stupidity. It was something that was fabricated by Arthur C. Clarke. He wrote about it before they were ever invented as a fiction book. The next thing you know, we got satellites. Satellites in space. Guys, you haven't done your work here. You got a lot to learn. We're going to continue. This is just off the cuff, guys. This is the stuff that I've researched the last 5 years while I'm driving. Okay? All this is just off the cuff. Let's think about some more. Wouldn't all these military people, wouldn't they come out and say the earth is flat if that's the truth? Are all these people in on it? Are all these people hiding it? No. They're not all hiding it. But here's a fun fact for you. A lot of people are coming out talking about it. Military people talking about it. Missile experts. Ship navigationalists. Military artillerymen. How about Marine snipers? How about here's the deal. Go on Mark Sargent's page, on Mark Sargent's YouTube page, and just look for his, and I can drop some links here if anybody wants to see him. Look at his subject matter experts playlist on Mark Sargent's page, and just go through those. He talks to military men and women of all different backgrounds. All these people are coming out talking about how the earth is flat and stationary because it has to be. Their weapons wouldn't work if the earth was rotating. If the earth was spinning 1,000 miles on its axis, none of this stuff would work. The Navy railgun wouldn't work because it's a direct line of sight weapon that can hit a target over 100 miles away. Do you know the curvature that's supposed to take place at 100 miles? It's ridiculous. You're talking about miles of curvature. It's a direct line of sight weapon. How about radio? Radio transmission, direct line of sight stuff, guys. How will we be able to transmit radio waves hundreds of miles across the water, hundreds of miles across the earth? If the earth is a ball, huh? Or we can get into submarines, sonar. There's been sonar experts, radar experts. Like I said, ship navigationalists. What do you call land surveyors? So many people are coming out of the woodworks and are talking about this subject and are putting their careers on the line to talk about it. Just look at some of these documentaries with some of these experts, pilots, guys, dozens and dozens of pilots. You think that if anybody knew that the earth was flat, it'd be pilots. They fly over it every day. The Qantas pilots who fly internationally talk about it freely in their lounges. That the earth is most definitely a flat, stationary plane. That's why they're called airplanes. They fly over a horizon, which is horizontal. It's right there, plain sight, guys. The rabbit hole just gets further and further from there. We can go on and on and on. And you might think you have the gotcha question, but you don't. You haven't done any homework. All you have simply done is sat in a chair in school, listened to your teacher, remembered the shit that she said or he said, and you regurgitated it on a test, and you think you're smart. You're not smart. You're a robot. You're a zombie. You're lazy. You haven't done the work. Most of you won't make it through this video. Most Globers probably are tapped out within the first 30 seconds because their attention spans can't handle a video this long. We're living in a TikTok society. We got to have things in 30 seconds or less. 30 seconds or less. Jaron talks about this all the time. If you want to be wealthy, create something that just makes people more lazy. We're living in a microwave society. We want it right now. We're too lazy to do our research, but too arrogant and egotistical. And we think we know everything because we went to school. Went to indoctrination camps and remembered some shit, and that makes us smarter. No. You're lazy and you need to do some research. We can go on and on and on, guys. Here's some documentaries you might want to check out. How about Level? Level by Sean Hibbeler, and then The Next Level 2022 by Sean Hibbeler. Check out those two documentaries. Those are all done by like military pilots and ship navigationalists and stuff like that. People who are high level people in the military. Intelligent people, intelligent minds. High ranking, some of them. Are coming out telling you that there's no way that we live on a spinning ball Earth because none of our weapon systems would work. We wouldn't be able to shoot down enemy targets from 100 miles away. It's laughable now. Like, once you have done this much research, guys, you laugh at people who think that they live on a spinning ball. It's right in your military documents. Just look through them. They talk about flat Earth more than flat earthers do. Look at that sun. Oh yeah, let's do that real quick before I cut it off, because that's another one, right? Seasons and the sunrise and sunsets. Let's knock that out the ballpark too. Oh, and ships over the horizon. Yeah, we gotta cover this real quick, okay? And then we'll end the video. Because we're at 30 minutes. Ships over the horizon is like probably the number one argument that we live on a ball. And that's been the most debunked argument over and over and over and over again, thousands of times now. People are going out there debunking ships going over the horizon argument for the spinning ball. Guys, did you know? I really do hope this video gets out to people who haven't looked into this yet, or who just started looking into it and have lots of questions. I hope this video helps some people come to light. But if we live on a ball that's 24,901 miles in circumference, then if we know that, if that is the claim here, keep in mind the one who's making the positive claim has the burden of proof on them. The positive claim is that we live on a ball that's 24,901 miles in circumference. Let's do some math that might not hurt that shouldn't hurt your brain too much. It's really simple math. There's a curvature for a ball that size, a sphere that size, is 8 inches per mile squared, and you can check this yourself. There's people out there like, well, that's the wrong formula because it's parabolic. Well, no shit. We know that it's parabolic, but it lines up with the more complex equation to a T, up to 1,000 miles, maybe even a little more. Matter of fact, the 8 inches per mile squared is giving the globe the benefit of the doubt. After a while, it's giving a little bit more benefit of the doubt. So let's do that. Go out there and start observing things that's just 10 miles away. How much curvature should there be at 10 miles? 66 feet. 66 feet of curvature at just 10 miles. With an observation height of 6 feet. Okay? And then when you start seeing that you could see objects hundreds of miles away, let alone 10 miles away, 20 miles away, 40 miles away. How about, the longest distance photographs we have are over 200 miles now. And if you look into infrared photography, it's even further than that. Go check out Jay Tolan Media's channel on YouTube. Jay Tolan Media 1, I do believe, on YouTube. He does everything in infrared, from planes, from the ground, from just above, from drones. Listen, infrared photography dismantles, completely destroys the sphere Earth, the heliocentric model. Completely destroys it. We see way too far. We can zoom in on that ship on the horizon that's supposed to be going below the horizon when it disappears from the bottom up. Did you know that it also does that on a flat surface too? Did you know that you can do this experiment at home with like a quarter? You can put a quarter on a flat table and point your camera at it directly 90 degrees, kind of like you're looking at a sunset at 90 degrees. And this is how we'll tie it into sunsets, okay? Pay close attention. And you can take that quarter and you can start moving it further down the table with your camera fixed on it at 90 degrees, and you'll watch that quarter disappear from the bottom up on a flat surface. Is it making sense yet? And we could do this with everything. And then you got to learn about atmospheric conditions and stuff like that, and why things appear to disappear the way that they do. It's not the horizon that they're going over. It's not the curvature of the Earth that they're going over. They're literally just getting too far for us to see, and atmospheric conditions cause them to disappear the way that they do. You need to look into atmospheric conditions, guys, and how the atmosphere causes things to enlarge, because we're actually looking through water. We're looking through water when we look through the atmosphere. Humidity, the temperature has a factor in all this. Right? So you're able to see further on colder days when the humidity's low. Okay? And visibility is higher. We can see further. Has nothing to do with the curvature. The sun does the same thing. If I could show you a video where the sun doesn't actually fall below the horizon, but it actually dissipates into the thickness of the atmosphere. If I just show you that once, you ought to start questioning, hey, well, maybe the sun really isn't actually going over the curve. Maybe we're not actually falling back and the sun's falling away from us. Maybe it's just right above us and it's going. Think about like you're on a street and you're looking down at the street lights. The one that's right next to you looks like it's right above your head and it looks high. The further down you look at the street lights, it starts to go to the vanishing point, to where it starts to disappear over that horizon. But it's not actually disappearing. You know that it's not disappearing because you know you're driving on a flat level road. It's all about perspective is what I'm trying to tell you. The sun does the same exact thing. We've got plenty of videos to prove this, guys. Plenty of observations have been done to prove that the sun dissipates into the thickness of the atmosphere. It's just going too far for us to see. And we can no longer see through the thickness of the atmosphere. That's what's happening there. Okay? And then you can start to think, well, if the sun is small and local, and it's not 93 million miles away, then that's how we have night and day. It's night on one side and daylight on the other. Small local sun going around the circle of the earth between the two tropics and the equator, right? And that's how you get your seasons. I don't want to dive too far into that because that's getting a little too technical. That's something you need to research. Hopefully by now, this is my point, this is my goal. Is hopefully by now I have planted a seed in your mind if you're new to listening to something like this, and you now have some things to run with and check out. You have some things to research. That's my goal with this video. Now hopefully you'll start to think critically. You start asking the right questions. You scrutinize the heliocentric model like you're scrutinizing flat earthers, in other words. You go out there and you test this model like you're supposedly testing this flat earth thing, this flat earth theory, so to speak. You look at it with the same criticizing eyes, in other words. Because when you do that, you'll come to only one logical conclusion, and that is something that we all can agree upon. We do not live on a spinning space monkey ball. We just don't. It's time you know, and it's time you go share it with other people. So share this video. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button below. And until the next video, this is Passion for Truth signing out. Take care. God bless. Open up that mind. Peace.